you. So, good morning, everyone. Good morning to all the participants here. Good morning to Dr. Hairun, our moderator for today's session. Good morning to Encik Taufik. I'm honored to be here to share with you what I know about research design. Okay, thank you for the introduction given by Dr. Hairun. So actually, I'm still learning in doing research lah. Okay, I'm still learning. So I'm not saying that I'm very good in doing research, and I'm not saying that I know everything about research. So as what I told Encik Taufik just now, my PhD and most of my research, they are quantitative based. Doing a quantitative research, I can say that I can handle the research well. I'm not saying that I'm very good in doing a quantitative research, but I think I can handle it well. But if you ask me to do a qualitative research, I'm still learning. I'm still learning on how to do it. Okay, so I hope that today's session would give the students, would give all the participants today some information about research design from a different perspective, because I'm from Faculty of Business and Management. I'm not from Faculty of Hotel Management. So my point of view might be different from your point of view. My school of thought might be different from your school of thought. So I hope that today's session could give you what we call this some information about research design from a different perspective, from the viewpoint of business and management area. Okay, so if all of you are ready, shall we start? Okay, can you see the slide on the screen?
Yes, Doctor. But can you make it a full screen?
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you.
Is the slide moving?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so as what has been informed by Dr. Hairun just now, I'm Ko. Okay, I'm Dr. Ko from Faculty of Business and Management. I'm actually based in Malacca. I'm from campus Bandaraya Malacca, Malacca City campus. So today's session will be on developing good research design lah. Okay, so these are the contents of today's session. So first of all, I will discuss on some basic concepts about research design. Okay, what is a research design actually? Okay, and then after that, we will move on to the importance of research design, why writing a good research design is important, especially for postgraduate students. And then after that, we will move on to elements of research design. So many students they have these questions in their mind. They would want to know, what should I write in my research design? Okay, what are the points that I should explain in my research design? So today's session, I will share with you the elements of research design as well. So I will share with you what are the points, what are the information, what are the things that you should discuss in your research design. And then the last part of today's session, I would like to share with you some of the tips in writing research design. So I will share with you, okay, what are the things that you should do. Okay, I will share with you what are the things that you should do in writing a research design, and also what are the things that you should avoid in writing a research design. So these are from my own experience lah, because I have attended the students' DRP, I've attended the students' Viva and so on. So from my own experience, So I summarize and I share with you what are the things that the postgraduate students should do, and what are the things that a postgraduate student should avoid in writing a good research design. Okay, so first of all, let us look at this one. What is a research design? Research design. So from the name itself, you should have a basic idea about what a research design is. So from the name itself, you should know that it is the design of your research lah. Okay. So actually, what is research design? If you refer to the textbooks, or if you refer to any reference books on research, most of the books will tell you that research design, it is a strategy for a research, strategy for a study. Some of the books may tell you that research design is plan to carry out a research or study. Some books may say that research design is the framework of research methods or techniques. So it might be difficult for you to imagine what is a research design. So you try to put it in this way. You try to imagine it in this way. Imagine that you are going to build a house. You're going to build a house. So now you already have an idea what kind of house that you want to build. Let's say you have decided to build a semi-D, a double-story semi-D, double-story semi-detached house. Let's say that is the house that you would like to build, a double-story house, semi-D. Once you have decided on the house that you would like to build, the next thing that you need to do is you need to design the house. You need to design, okay, you want a double-story house. Okay, how you want it to look like? Okay, how do you want it to look like? You need to design. So you may need to go and find designer, you may need to go and find architects to help you to draw the plan, to help you to design the house for you. Same thing goes to research. Okay, the same concept goes to research. In your chapter 1, in your research, in your study, either a master's research or a PhD research, in your chapter 1. Chapter 1, you identify the problems. After you have identified your problem, can you tell me, what do you write after that? What do you have after your problem? Can any one of you tell me?
Yes, you can unmute your microphone, anyone?
Maybe significance of the research?
Significance of the research. Yes, after that? After the problems, normally, okay, in
objective question.
Yes.
It's an objective question.
Yes, good. Thank you. Good. Thank you. Research objectives and your research questions. Normally in chapter 1, your supervisor or the panels, they will focus on the background, problem statement, research objectives, and research question. So just now I told you that when you want to build a house, first of all, you have to decide what kind of house that you would like to build. Either you want to build a double story, single story, or whatever. So same thing goes to your research. In your chapter 1, you write background of the study, you write your problem statement. After that, you write your research objective and your research question. So your research questions and your research objective, that would determine what kind of research that you would like to perform. So after you have your research objective, you have your research questions, then you need to design for your research. You have to think the strategy, you have to think the plan to carry out your research. So when you want to write your research design, you have to always refer back to your objectives, your research objectives, and refer back to your research question. You have to make sure that the strategy or the plan, the strategy or the plan that you would like to use to carry out your research is able to fulfill your objective and is able to answer your research question. So you have the research objective, you have the research questions, then you need to think how to conduct, how to do the research in order to answer your objective and also your questions. So that's about your research design. Okay, that's about your research design. So you have to always refer back to your objective and your questions. So that's some basic ideas or some basic concepts about research design. So why research design is important? Okay, why research design is important? So as what Encik Taufik told me just now, for DRP in Faculty of Hotel Management, you will have 3 panels. 2 panels will be on contents and another panel will be on the research method. The same thing also apply in my faculty lah, in my Faculty of Business and Management. So we also have 2 panels on content and another 1 panel on research method. So from here you can see that actually the faculty they focus a lot. They focus a lot on research design because you have 1 specific panel or you have 1 specific examiner to examine your research design. You have 1 specific panel to study, to comment on your research design. Or your chapter 3 lah, okay, to make it simple, your chapter 3. You have 1 specific panel for that. So research design is important due to all these reasons. Okay, first of all, a good research design will provide a solid base for research. That means that your research design will determine whether your research would be a successful one or not. Normally, the examiner of the panel, okay, they will look at what you plan to do. In chapter 3, in your chapter 3, in your research design, your research methodology, the panel or the examiner will look at what you plan to do, what you would like to do. Because when you write your chapter 3, you have not started your data collection process yet. So your examiner will see whether you will be able to complete your research or not. So if your research design is good, that means that you will be able to complete your research. So because in research design you will explain the entire process, you will explain the entire procedures in doing your research thoroughly. You will write it down in details. So if you have a good research design, then your research design would help you. It will help you to have a smooth working of research operations. That means that you will not stuck lah. Okay, you will not stuck in your data collection later on. You will not stuck in your data analysis later on. Okay, some of my friends, they are not able to complete their PhD on time because they stuck somewhere during their data collection process. Some of them, they stuck somewhere during their data analysis process. So when they stuck, okay, they may need to go back. When they stuck in data collection or when they stuck in data analysis, they have problems, they may need to go back to their chapter 2. They may need to refine back their framework. Some of them may need to go back to recollect the data and so on. So we don't want all those things to happen. We want to have a smooth research operations. We want all the processes, we want all the procedures to be smooth. So that's why we need to have a good research design. I remember I attended a DRP. Okay, I attended the DRP in my faculty. I was one of the panel. During that DRP, the chairperson was a very experienced professor. So before the session start, before the BRP start, the professor advised us, the panel or the examiner. He told us that we have to make sure that students are able to write a good research methodology, because we don't want them to stuck somewhere in their chapter 4. We don't want them to stuck somewhere in their chapter 5. If they stuck in chapter 4, if they stuck in chapter 5, they will not be able to graduate on time. So I think research design is something that we really need to write. Is something that we really need to put in a lot of attention, so that when we collect our data, when we analyze our data, we will not have any problems. So that's the second point. Research design could ensure us to have a smooth operations. Next one is to make research effort effective and efficient. This is relevant to point number 2 and point number 1. So effective, that means that you are using the correct methods. You are doing the correct things. Okay, because we want to avoid making mistakes. Okay, as what we have in point number 4. We want to avoid making mistakes. We want to avoid errors in research. So if we are able to prevent mistakes, if we are able to avoid errors and so on, then we will be effective in doing our research. That means that we don't have to what we call repeat. We don't have to repeat the process. We don't have to go back and refine back what we have done before this. So a good research design could help us to have what we call effectiveness, and also to have efficiency in our research. Okay, some of you might be doing masters. If I'm not mistaken, masters is 3 semesters. Okay, to get GOT, 3 to 4 semesters. Some of you might be doing your PhD. PhD is about 6 semesters to get your GOT. Everybody wants GOT, but how to get GOT? In order to get GOT, having a good research design is very important. That is about efficiency, because we don't want to refine back. We don't want to go back to chapter 2 again when we are in chapter 5. We don't want to go to chapter 3 again when we are in chapter 4. So how to avoid you go back to chapter 2, you go back to chapter 1, or even you go back to your problem statement? We don't want that. So how to prevent that? Writing a good research design is important. Okay, so those are some important points about having a good research design and why you should write a good research design. Okay, some people may think that research design only okay, what's so difficult about it? Okay, just write what you want to do. Yes, just write what you want to do, but you have to make sure that your suggestions on what you want to do is correct. You have to make sure that your suggestion on what you want to do, your plan on what you want to do is correct, is able to answer your research objective, and is able to answer your research questions. That's very important. Okay, so before we start to write our research design, okay, before we start to write our research design, one very important thing is that we have to go back to the very basic. We have to go back to the very basic. We have to, first of all, identify, we have to first of all find out what kind of research that we are actually doing. Are we doing a quantitative research, or are we doing a qualitative research? So how to know that you are doing a quantitative research or you are doing a qualitative research? You go back to your research questions, you go back to your research objectives, have a look at your research objective, have a look at your research questions. So from there, you will know whether your research falls under quantitative research or qualitative research. This is very important. This is the first step. This is what we call the most basic things to do in writing your research design. You have to know whether you are doing a quantitative or you are doing a qualitative. Okay, so If you are not so sure about what quantitative is, what qualitative is, you may refer to what we call deductive and inductive research. So quantitative research, this type of research is normally suitable for deductive research. So what does it mean? Deductive, quantitative. It means normally we will start with a research problem first. We have a research problem, and then from the research problem, we generate research questions, research objective, and then from there, we generate a model or a framework, a research model or a research framework, and then we collect the data quantitatively, and then we draw conclusion from the quantitative data. So that's what it means by a deductive research or quantitative research. Qualitative research is different. Okay, qualitative research, of course, you still start with the problems and research questions, research objective, and so on. But for qualitative research, okay, we don't really have a theory. Okay, we don't really have a what we call a research model or research framework which we can use quantitative data. So qualitative research, normally we will use qualitative data. So qualitative data, qualitative research, qualitative data, they are in non-numerical forms. They are not numbers. But for quantitative, they are in numerical form. They are numbers. Okay, so in this slide, I just list out to you some of the methods, in quantitative research and qualitative research. Of course, if you refer to research books, if you refer to any research materials and so on, they are more than these methods. So I just list down to you some of the most commonly used methods. Okay, these are the most commonly used methods, or we call it the popular methods in quantitative research and qualitative research. So as I've said just now, so if you refer to books, yes, there are more than these 7 methods. Okay, there are more, but these are the methods that are usually and that are commonly used by the researcher. So as what I have told Encik Taufik, today's session I will focus more on quantitative research Okay, I will focus more on quantitative research because qualitative research, first of all, I'm not an expert in it. And then qualitative research, basically it focuses more on interview. Okay, so if we look at the 3 methods here, focus group, in-depth interview, or case study, even though the name is different, but the sole method, the most important method that we will use in qualitative research is still interview. Okay, we still need to interview people. Focus group, you may need to interview a groups of what we call maybe experts and so on. In-depth interview, case study also involves interviews. So besides interviews, some qualitative research may also involve observation and so on. So qualitative research, they're a bit subjective. Okay, so for today's session, I will focus our discussion, I will focus the sharing more on quantitative. So quantitative research, if you look at this slide, we can have what we call descriptive research, we can have correlational research, we can have causal research, we can have what we call experimental research. These are the 4 most popularly used methods in quantitative research. Okay, so I have found some what we call explanation on the 4 qualitative research methods here. So let us look at what are the differences between the different methods here. So descriptive research, this is the type of research where it focuses on describing. It focuses on describing a current situation, or it focuses on describing a current status, or it focuses on describing a particular variable. So the purpose of carrying out descriptive research is to provide information. Okay, is to provide information. I give you one example, descriptive research. Before this, myself and also some of my colleagues, we got a project from Pharma. We got a project from Pharma. So Pharma wants us, Pharma actually asked us to conduct a research for them. So Pharma want us to find out how many people go to this Pasar Tani. How many people go to Pasar Tani in Merlimau? Merlimau is a place in Malacca. Is a what we call sort of like a district in Malacca lah. It is a town, a town in Malacca, a district in Malacca. So Pharma wants to know how many people in Merlimau actually they go to Pasar Tani. So what Pharma want to know? Pharma just want to know how many people go. So that kind of research is a type of descriptive research, where in the research we need to describe, we need to tell Pharma, okay, Merlimau, how many people go to Pasar Tani on Saturday? How many people go to Pasar Tani on Sunday? They go to Pasar Tani. Which Pasar Tani that they go to? So Merlimau, as what I said just now, is a town. So there are many small areas in Merlimau lah. So all those small areas, small kampong, they have their own Pasar Tani. So we need to tell Pharma. We conduct a research and then we tell Pharma, how many people go to this particular Pasar Tani? How many people go to that particular Pasar Tani, and so on. So it's describing a situation. It is describing a status. So that is a type of descriptive research. It is a type of descriptive research. So normally, a master's research, master level research, or a PhD level research has to be beyond descriptive research lah. Because if you are just describing a particular status, if you are just describing a particular situation, that may not really contribute to knowledge. So normally, master's level, PhD level, it has to go beyond descriptive research. So the second type of quantitative research is correlational research. So correlational research, it involves studying the relationship. So if you look at the explanation here, correlational research, it involves studying the relationship, or to be specific, we call it association. Association between two variables. In this type of research, normally we just want to see, we just want to know, are two factors, are two variables related to each other? Are two variables associated with each other? So there is no what we call effects. There is no effects. There is no influence to be studied in correlational research. That means that we just want to study, are two different variables related to each other? Are two different variables associated to each other? But we are not going to study their effects. We are not going to study their influence on each other, how they affect each other, and so on. No. Correlational research, we just want to see, are they associated with each other? So normally, when you conduct a correlational research, you can actually extend it to causal research lah. So I think most of you, your PhD research, your master's research would be the third type, causal research. Or another name given to it is causal comparative research lah. So in causal research, we will focus on cause and effect relationship. As you can see from here, it focuses on cause and effect relationship. That means we are going to study the relationship between the variables, But now we are going to see, okay, how the changes in one variable affects the other variable. So that means that we are not only going to see their association, we are not only going to study their, what we call this, relationship, but we want to see how are they affecting each other. So for example, maybe some of you, your research is about maybe visitors' satisfaction. I remember one of my colleagues, his research is about museum visitors' satisfaction. So his research is about what are the factors that cause museum visitors to be satisfied. People visit museums, people visit museums. So what are the factors that make them satisfied? So in this type of research, we are going to see the cause and effect relationship. So as an example just now, my colleague's research, factors that affects the museum visitors' satisfaction. So for example, what are the factors that might affect visitors' satisfaction? For example, it could be the environment of the museum, services provided by the museum, or maybe the customer service provided by the museum. So all those are the things that might affect the visitors' satisfaction. So in this type of research, we're going to see how a particular factors affects or influence another factors. So that is what we call a causal research. So for most of the master's level research and PhD level research, your research has to be causal research. Because causal research, the contribution of knowledge is there. Because when you do your postgraduate research, people focus on contribution to knowledge. So if you perform a causal research, and then the chances for you to contribute to knowledge is higher compared to the other two, descriptive research or correlational research. So if you perform a descriptive research, definitely that is not enough. That is not enough for your PhD research. That is not enough for your master's research. So for master's and PhD research, normally we will focus on causal research. So if you look at these slides, another method for quantitative research is experimental research. Social science, especially in my area, business management, very seldom we perform experimental research. I'm not saying that no, okay? It is not no research, but very seldom, very rare, okay? Experimental research, very rare in business and management. I'm not so sure about your area, but I know that in experiment, for this experiment research, it is quite common, it is quite popular in education. A lot of these educational research, they are actually experimental research. So this experimental research, if we look at this explanation or the description, okay, it says that we may need a lab, okay. If not a lab, we may need a lab setting, okay. It may need a lab setting. So if you look at the explanation here, it says that a true experiment is any study where an effort is made to identify and impose control over all other variables except one. So just now I told you that educational research, a lot of educational research, they are using this experimental research. So how do they conduct their research? I have reviewed a paper before this. It is written by a lecturer from the Faculty of Education. So this lecturer conducted an experiment. Actually, it's an experiment. So he used various teaching methods. To see, okay, how that particular teaching methods affects the student's performance. So that is the type of experiment. So he will control. Okay, he control the learning environment. He control the what we call this the learning methods. He control what we call this the classroom and so on. So he control everything. So the classroom itself is like a lab. The classroom itself is in a lab setting, a laboratory setting. So he used different methods in teaching. So students will learn by using different methods, and then he tried to see which method is the best for the student. That is a kind of experimental research. So it is quite popular in educational research lah. So I'm not so sure about in hotel management. Okay, how are you going to conduct an experimental research? But I know it is quite popular in education. But to me, I think doing a causal research, that is good enough. Okay, that's good enough for masters and also PhD research lah. Okay, that's from my view of point. So even my own students, my PhD students, I just ask them, okay, to do a causal research to find how a particular factors affects or influence another factors. That is already good enough for a PhD. That is already good enough for you to contribute to the knowledge. Okay. So are you still with me?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, Doctor.
Thank you. Thank you. So far, any questions?
Yeah.
Any question from the participants so far?
Or maybe we continue first. Okay,
Yes.
We continue with the next topic, and then maybe if you have any question, you can ask at the end of the session lah.
Correct.
Okay,
Yeah.
but if let's say you have any question and you would like to stop me, also never mind. You can just stop me and ask the questions. Okay, so let us continue to the next topic. So as what I've told you just now, before you write your research design, the first and foremost thing is that you have to know whether you are conducting a quantitative research or you are conducting a qualitative research. Then from there, you start to write your research design. So our next topic is what to write. What to write in your research design. So these are the elements of research design. So of course, first of all, in your chapter 3, when you write your research design, first of all, you have to tell the readers, you have to write, you are conducting a quantitative research or you are conducting a qualitative research. That one is the first thing, first and foremost. After that, then only you continue with all these things. So after you have decided, okay, the types of your research, quantitative or qualitative, then you continue to write on all this. Extent of researcher interference, your study setting, unit of analysis, time horizon, population and sampling, research instrument, data collection plan, and data analysis plan. Okay, so anybody want to ask any questions? Any questions?
At this stage, there's no question, but I have one question, Doctor, in the chat box. Yeah, this is from Ahmad Rosli bin Said. This